I'm Samantha Scott, APR, President Pushing the Envelope. Welcome to our final Power Hour of 2023. I'm so excited to have you. And it's our first live streaming. So if you have any questions or comments during this time, please feel free to comment and somebody will reply to you, even if I have to do it after the fact, because we want to make sure that you get as much value out of this as possible. So today we're talking about 3 strategic ways that your brand can get a competitive advantage or leverage a competitive edge in 2024. So before we go looking forward, let's take a step back and reflect. How's 2023 been? Any surprises? What's worked? What hasn't worked? If you're not sure where to look, analytics are a really important place to start. First, we want to say what's been working well for our business before we go making changes. Change for the sake of change does no one good. So let's make sure that we're aware of what's worked, how's it going, did all the campaigns pay off the way you thought, did you try something new that worked, or maybe something didn't work. Let's keep that in mind as we work towards next year. And of course, with live events, live things happen, right? So let's roll with this. So some pre-planning is super important as we look at going into the next year. And as you probably heard the old adage, failure to plan is planning to fail. So we want to make sure we go into 2024 with a really solid plan and a great way for your business to take advantage of a competitive edge and even create it if you don't have one yet. So working forward, let's marry our 3 key tips together to give your business a competitive edge while also taking into consideration what's worked in 23 and what you want to accomplish next year. Okay, first one. This really shouldn't be a surprise. If you were here in person, I would probably take a poll and ask you what you think it is. The first one is AI. Yes, I'm sure you've heard about it. Yes, there are robots taking over the world. No, I'm just kidding. Actually, AI can be really, really powerful. And what I want to encourage you is to think about AI as something that can enhance or reduce your time spent, and then instead of replacing it, right? I think people are really concerned that AI is going to take over, it's going to replace jobs, that we're going to run into all these concerns because of technology. Let's press pause, calm down a little bit, and let's think about what are the opportunities that are available, specifically related to marketing and communication, that AI can provide. So what are some of the redundant tasks that maybe you or some of your staff are doing on a regular basis? How can AI improve that? Can it help with writing? Can it help with creative? There's tons of different resources available. I'm not promoting any single one of them, but ChatGPT can be really invaluable, but you have to make sure that you give it context. It's not Google. You're not going on ChatGPT asking it to just write a post about your restaurant or your professional service firm. You have to explain to it what you're looking for. Explain the business, the brand, the voice, who you are, and what you're trying to accomplish. That's really, really important context. The more you teach it, the more information you give it, the better it will be able to help you. The other thing is thinking about how it can improve your creative and thinking about your brand. How do you want to position your brand in 2024 to create a competitive edge? Think about what your competitors are doing and then think about what you do. What do you bring to the market that no one else can bring? What do you do best in class? Or what is it that you're trying to introduce next year that might take you over the edge? And how can AI help you best position yourself to market that, communicate about that, and set yourself apart? We also want to think about time spent, time invested. As I mentioned, how can AI help you reduce the time that you're spending on some of these tasks you're doing over and over again? Think about automations, different ways that you can use it, and then how you can best leverage it for your brand. So one example might be setting up drip campaigns and leveraging AI to help you segment your audience and then automatically email those individuals to create warm leads. There's lots of different ways to use that. Also, keep in mind that the human touch is still really, really important. So AI can do lots of things, but it's not a person. It doesn't understand emotion, at least not yet. So it's really important to keep that in mind. So when you use AI to help draft content or make creative, make sure that you're looking at it through the human lens. How is this going to connect with your audience? Are they going to be able to see your brand and hear your voice in what it's created? Also keep in mind that there are some things related to plagiarism and other issues that could come up, so always make sure that you're doing your best to make sure that this content is original and it's custom crafted, and then you're on the up and up. We want to make sure that anything we do is always absolutely ethical. So lastly in that point is just make sure that you're customizing. Make sure your audience feels like this is something really specific and on brand, but also really custom for them. Okay, so that's the first point, AI. That's an incredible way to help give your business a competitive edge in 2024. Here's number 2, which is targeting your digital audience. Yes, I know we've talked about this, and yes, I know testing and measuring is something you've heard me talk about a ton, and making sure that you use data imperatively in your business, but I'm not over it. We're gonna keep talking about it. So make sure that you reach your digital audience, that you know who they are. So the first place is to make sure that you use your AI, all that time you're using AI, use that to spend more time getting to know your audience. You've got some extra time in your hand. Let's dig into this. Look at the data. What is your audience telling you? What are they interested in? What trends are they engaging with? What channels are they using that maybe you're not using? Or maybe they're using it differently. This is the time to dig in and meet your people where they are. Remember, it's not the me show. It's not just let me as the company put out all the information that I want you, my audience, to know and hope that you pick it up. No, I have to put my brand, my service, my company where you are as the consumer, solve your problems, become your colleague, your friend, your resource. So make sure you're really digging in and finding out who your audience is. Make sure you're a resource for them, right? So solving problems. This is going to be more and more important as we head into 2024. Depending on what you follow, there's economic forecasts that there's going to be a recession, a slow trough kind of situation in 2024. Budgets might be a little bit tighter. This is the time to dig in and really create connections with your audience. These are long-term relationships so that these folks stick with you, and ultimately they become your brand ambassadors, because when budgets become tighter, these are the folks that can tell your story. These are the people that are going to be your ambassadors, your champions, who are going to create more business for you as a result. So finding out where they are, you can look at analytics on all of your social channels, but I would also tell you to look at the analytics on your website, as well as diving into your campaigns. How do they perform? If you have multiple audiences, maybe you've done one campaign for audience A, one campaign for audience B, how did those perform? Where are those audience members, and how are they absorbing your information? So now, the third and final point, how do we create a competitive edge in 2024? We talked about leveraging AI, we talked about digital and getting to know your audience and creating champions for your brand. Now here's the third and probably the most important, I saved the best for last, which is creating a strategy. Now that might not sound sexy and exciting, but I promise it's super important. Don't skip this step, right? Strategy leads everything else. So we like to say creativity plus strategy equals success, because you could have a super creative concept for 2024, but if there's no strategy behind it, it may not perform the way that you want. And of course, your strategy has to be creative as well and have creative elements to it, don't get me wrong. But it's very, very important to start with a strategy. So remember that how we started talking about this, that failure to plan is planning to fail. We don't want to do that. We want to make sure that we have a plan and make sure that we have solid direction, and then also measurable objectives, right? So if you are reporting to someone, you want to make sure that you have your plan set up in such a way you can measure against these milestones that you're trying to accomplish and report back to those that you're reporting to. So start by determining what you want for your brand. What are you trying to accomplish next year? Think big picture. This is business and operations functions outside of marketing, right? It's not how many fans you want to grow. Do you want to increase sales by 10%? Are you trying to increase revenue by a certain dollar amount? Are you trying to create awareness? What are you trying to accomplish for the business overall? Ultimately, marketing should be serving the business functions. Otherwise, you're just spinning your wheels doing marketing for the sake of marketing without actually measuring the outputs. This is fundamentally important. Know where you're trying to go. So if your business is trying to grow by 10% in revenue, what have you, well then we want to track against that. So I recommend the GHOST model. This is my PR background coming out, and it's GOST, as in goals, objectives, strategies, and tactics. So even if you're not a technician in terms of public relations or marketing, you can follow this model. It's very, very simple. Goals, exactly what it sounds like. What are you trying to accomplish? And of course, these goals tie to your business goals. Objectives, these should be SMART. Here's another acronym for you. Strategic, measurable, attainable, relevant, and time-bound. An objective that just says, well, we want to increase awareness is not an actual objective. You want to say, we want to increase awareness as measured by X% increase visits to X page on the website within X period of time. You want to be really, really specific, because the more specific you are, the more you're able to measure accurately. And then, of course, we want to make sure that these are trackable and that they are tracked with regularity. So you determine that cadence, if that's monthly, if that's quarterly, if that's annually, what have you. And this should all, again, be tied back to your business goals and functions. And of course, you want to make sure that you're taking meaningful metrics along the way. Testing and measuring coming up again. Don't be afraid to refine your plan if you get halfway through and see, hey, this may not be working the way I thought it would be, or hey, this part's really, really working well, we should pour more into that. You can be nimble and adjust. It's very important to make sure that you're testing all along the way so you can ensure that you have that competitive edge in 2024. So thank you for tuning in to our very first virtual Power Hour. Sorry for the sirens, but things happen, right? And I appreciate your attention. If you have questions, please, please, please put them in the comments below. Also, if you want more education, we would love to help you out. We have lots of blogs on this topic. If you go to getpushing.com/blog, you can check that out. We also have ebooks that are complimentary for you. And the very first season of 1,000 Ways to Market Your Business, our podcast is out. So if you need something to binge, we are here for you. And season 2 of that podcast will drop early in 2024. Thank you so very much, and I wish you all the best in 2024.